we came home again a couple days later, and we looked at the news, and Obamacare, the Supreme Court had said that, well, that's constitutional, and we're going to call it a tax now, and that's going to smooth things over and make it okie dokie. And right on the heels of that, we got a letter from Cathy McMorris, who's our U.S. representative here in the 5th District, and she said in there that she was disappointed with the Supreme Court's decision. And my wife looked at me and she says, you know what, if my socks don't last long enough, I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed in this Supreme Court decision. I'm outraged. What is this representative trying to tell us? That she's not outraged? We were outraged when this kind of legislation was even introduced, let alone went through this entire process to the Supreme Court and so forth. It seems to me there should have been impeachment proceedings held against the people that introduced this stuff, because they don't understand their oath of office and what the public rights actually means in America. But I guess this is sort of the unintended consequences when you implement principles and you can't see down the road far enough to see where they're going to lead. You know, Cathy McMorris in '07 voted for a child insurance bill that gave federal subsidized insurance to families with children that had incomes 300% over the poverty level in the country. Well, this is just an incremental run-up to Obamacare, and it's just another example of not being able to see the consequences in the principles that you're using to craft legislation. It's extremely dangerous. We need to make sure that we don't have people in office representing us that are even capable of doing that. You got to be a little more far-sighted than that. So I guess Cathy McMorris is going to have to, based on the letters that she sent and her understanding of what the Supreme Court's role is, she thinks that the Supreme Court gets to decide what's constitutional and what isn't. I think that's nonsense. I think that a sitting congressman takes an oath to defend the Constitution. If you do that, you're as good as saying you know what's constitutional. You don't have to have somebody on a bench tell you. Obamacare was unconstitutional from the beginning, and just because the Supreme Court says it is, doesn't mean that I'm disappointed. It means I am outraged. Unintended consequences, folks. You got to be able to think beyond the immediate, what's politically expedient. And you got to be able to see down the road far enough to see where the consequences of your actions are going to lead.